Right now, the air around you is sitting somewhere near a perfect 70 degrees. You're not thinking about it. You never do. If it drops even slightly, you reach for a dial or tap a screen, and warmth comes pouring out of the walls like it was always there. But for almost the entire story of our species, that warmth did not exist. When winter came, it didn't wait outside the door. It got in, it crawled under your skin and stayed there for months. Your fingers stopped working, your breath froze on your own face, and there was no switch, no dial, no escape. Only your body, the people pressed against you, and whatever fire you could keep from dying. For over 300,000 years, every single one of your ancestors survived winters that would kill most of us in a single night. They did it with no furnace, no down jacket, no thermostat humming quietly in the hallway. So how did they not freeze? The answer is stranger than you'd think. And part of it is still hiding inside your body right now. Let's start with the enemy. Cold is the oldest threat our species ever faced, older than any predator, older than hunger, and it nearly won. In 2023, a team of geneticists published a study in the journal Science, suggesting that around 900,000 years ago, the entire human ancestral population may have collapsed to roughly 1,280 breeding individuals. A genetic bottleneck, a near extinction. Climate is one of the leading suspects. We came that close to never existing at all because the world got cold and unforgiving. But we didn't disappear. We adapted, and the first thing we built wasn't a weapon. It was a wall against the cold. Fire was the beginning, but fire alone doesn't save you. A flame warms one side of your body while the other side goes numb. Step away from it and you're dead within hours. What truly changed everything was something far less dramatic. A tiny tool. A needle. The oldest sewing needle ever found comes from Denisova Cave in Siberia, roughly 50,000 years old, carved from bone and worn smooth by use. This sounds small. It is anything but. Before the needle, humans draped hides loosely over their shoulders, and cold air slipped through every gap. After the needle, humans could stitch fitted, layered, tailored clothing, sealed seams, trapped air, a second skin. And we know exactly how good they got at it. At a site called Sungir in Russia, archaeologists uncovered graves around 34,000 years old. The bodies were covered in thousands of beads carved from mammoth ivory, and the beads weren't scattered. They traced the outline of clothing, fitted caps, long sleeves, trousers, sewn footwear. These people, living in the brutal cold of the Ice Age, were dressed in tailored, multi-layered outfits that took thousands of hours to make. They didn't endure winter. They engineered their way through it. But clothing was only half the fight. The other half was where you slept. In Mezirik, Ukraine, researchers found the remains of huts built around 15,000 years ago, made from the bones of mammoths. Hundreds of them. Skulls stacked as foundations, tusks arched into doorways, jawbones interlocked into walls. These weren't crude shelters. They were insulated, deliberate structures designed to hold heat and break the killing wind. Whole families lived inside them through winters that lasted half the year. So they had fire, clothing, and shelter. And here's where it gets fascinating, because the most powerful survival tool they had wasn't outside their bodies at all. It was inside them. Tucked along your collarbones, your neck, and your upper spine, you carry a special kind of fat. Not the soft white fat that stores energy. This is brown fat, and it does something extraordinary. Instead of holding calories, it burns them directly to generate heat. It's a furnace made of flesh. For decades, scientists believed brown fat existed only in babies and then vanished as we grew up. They thought adults lost it entirely. Then in 2009, a wave of studies using PET scans found something nobody expected. Adult humans still have it. It had been there the whole time, dormant, waiting, switched off by lives lived in perfect, unchanging warmth. And it gets stranger. In the Netherlands, physiologist Wouter van Marken-Lichtenbelt ran a series of experiments on ordinary, modern people. He exposed them to mild cold for a few hours a day, around 60 degrees for several weeks. Nothing extreme. And their bodies transformed, their dormant brown fat reactivated. They began producing more internal heat. They reported that the same cold which once made them miserable now felt almost comfortable. Their ancient furnace had simply been waiting for a reason to turn back on. This is the part that should stop you cold. Your ancestors weren't superhuman. Their bodies weren't fundamentally different from yours. They had a heating system you also have. They just used it every single day, and you've never switched yours on. There's even more buried in your hands. Ever notice how your fingers ache in the cold, then suddenly flush warm before going numb again? That's not random. It's called the Lewis hunting response, a reflex where your blood vessels periodically dilate to flood your fingers and toes with warm blood, protecting them from frostbite. Indigenous peoples of the Arctic show this response far more strongly than people raised in heated homes. It's a programmable defense. The more cold you face, the better it works. The more warmth you live in, the weaker it gets. So what shut all of this down? What switched off the furnace and dulled the reflex and made us so fragile that a single night outdoors could end us? The answer is simpler than you'd guess. Comfort. The Romans built underfloor heating systems called hypocausts, channeling hot air beneath the floors of the wealthy nearly 2,000 years ago. But that was a luxury for almost no one. For most of history, even chimneys didn't exist. The chimney only spread through Europe around the 12th century, and before it, families huddled around open central hearths in smoke-filled rooms, sharing body heat through the dark. Then came the furnace, then the radiator. Then, in the 20th century, central heating spread into ordinary homes, and finally the thermostat arrived, a small dial that promised one unchanging temperature, forever, in every room. No more cold, no more shivering, no more winter, really, at all. And within just a few generations, the relationship between humans and cold that had lasted 300,000 years was over. Here's the cost nobody talks about. We now live in what researchers call thermal monotony. Our homes, our cars, our offices, all held at the same mild temperature, day and night, summer and winter. Your body almost never has to defend itself anymore, and a body that never has to work weakens. Your brown fat goes quiet, your cold reflexes fade. Some scientists now believe this constant warmth may even be linked to rising metabolic problems, because the furnace that once burned calories to keep you alive sits idle, gathering dust. We didn't just stop feeling cold. We switched off an entire survival system that took hundreds of thousands of years to build. That shiver you feel stepping outside on a winter morning, the gasp, the tightening skin, the urge to rush back in, we treat it like weakness, like something to fix. But what if it isn't weakness at all? What if that shiver is your body waking up, reaching for a furnace it forgot it had, remembering exactly what it was built to do? For 300,000 years, your ancestors stood in a world that wanted them dead and refused to die. They stitched themselves second skins by firelight. They built homes from the bones of giants. They pressed their bodies together in the dark and let their own blood burn to keep each other alive until morning. They knew cold the way we will never know it. Not as a number on a screen, but as a living thing, a thing outsmarted with needles and fire and the warmth of the person beside them. And every winter, when the air bit down and the dark came early, their bodies answered with a heat they didn't even know they carried. We traded all of that for a dial on the wall. And most of us never even felt it go.